Are you ready to join me in transforming fear to freedom? That's the objective of the show. Are you ready to explore with me and my guests? Are you ready to get into the deep and play? This is where it's at, and that's what it's all about. No medical advice here. Use discernment and decide for yourself if the information is right for you. All views and opinions expressed on this show belong to the individual and are not necessarily shared with the producer of the show. Want more details? Go to letsgetrealchattingwithkatherine.com. Now let's get real and have some fun. Who are we going to explore with today? Come on with me and let's get into the deep. Well, today is going to be a very unique kind of a chat. Jolie Montlick has the honor of being the youngest person I've ever interviewed. And in the company of her dad, David Montlick, we had the opportunity to really explore into something that I felt was incredibly uplifting and empowering. A young lady who has really taken an issue that's got the rest of us all confused about bullying and what should we do about it, and she's just turned it into something that is empowering, has tools. She's totally taken it out of that helpless victim mode and turned it into something joyful and fun, and she's a remarkable young lady who's already accomplished much. So I wanted to take this opportunity, first of all, to show you a clip of her latest video, My Song for Taylor Swift, which has gone viral on the YouTube, over 1 million views, and really having an impact on people's lives. Young people, parents, teachers, people are really moved by this, and I think it just shows us that it doesn't matter your age. This young lady is showing us what it's like, and I note in this interview that a lot of that comes from the support she gets from dad. So let's have a listen now.
Brighten's my day, yeah. I wanna be the girl who sits with Taylor Swift. I wanna be the girl she can have lunch with. I wanna be the girl who didn't walk away. Who teaches with her smile, the world will be okay. I once heard Taylor talk about how she was bullied in middle school, and how when she sat down lunch, kids got up and walked away. It's hard to imagine how a person as cool as Taylor could ever have been a victim of bullying, but it can happen to anyone. It can happen to anyone. People can be so mean. A few kids are the bullies. Some get bullied, but most kids just stay on by idly. It is wrong to stay on by and watch and do nothing. We have to use our voices to speak out to stop the bullying. Stop the bullying.
All right, isn't that awesome? That was a little clip from Jolie Montlick and her viral video, My Song for Taylor Swift. So let's get into this chat.
Views on YouTube. So we'll explore this public response with Jolie and see what she thinks it means, and perhaps she can give us some tips too. This is a big issue, folks, and I think it's just awesome that we have an 11-year-old young lady bringing this message to us. Along with the music video, Jolie plays guitar, ukulele, and writes songs. She's also the National Spokesperson for Ambassador for Kids Club. A4K is a program created by Children Without a Voice USA. CWAV is a 501c3 nonprofit organization which is applicable to the U.S., dedicated and determined in fighting crimes against children in the United States. And 100% of the net proceeds from her song, My Song for Taylor Swift, goes to support A4K. Her mission appears to me to be to contribute to society in a very powerful way. She is also a second-degree black belt in TaeKwonDo and a certified level 2 instructor. So I'm going to ask both David and Jolie if that is part of the reason she has the confidence to take these messages out to the world. I think it's just awesome. Jolie's message is being heard. In October 2012, she was asked to present her video to a crowd of 10,000 in the Gwinnett Gladiators Professional Minor League Hockey opening weekend in Atlanta. So, I mean, this is pretty powerful. This young lady has really taken her message to the world in a big way. So let's get into this chat with Jolie and David. Welcome to the show. Good morning to you both.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Good morning. We're really pleased to be joining you.
Thank you so much. I have really been enjoying going over Jolie's website and her Facebook fan page, and such a powerful and actually joyful message. You know, I find that's part of it. That's what intrigues me about the way the message is coming across. It's gentle and yet it's powerful at the same time. So, Jolie, what do you think has you know, this 1 million YouTube views on your video? How do you feel about that?
Well, my goal was actually 1 million views, and when my dad told me that I got it, it was like one of the happiest moments in my life. I just felt so proud of myself.
And, you know, for what reason did you think, like, you wrote this song, have I understood this correctly?
Yes.
You wrote the song in the first place and recorded it as just a single?
Yes, I did.
And then what made you decide to turn it into a video?
Well, Taylor Swift is an amazing person, and I knew how she was bullied in middle school. So I was really inspired how she overcame bullying, and once I went to her concert, I realized that it would be an amazing thing to write a song for her. And I wanted to add in how she was bullied when she was in middle school, because I want to empower kids to speak up when they're being bullied. Yeah, well,
the example that the video itself is, you know, it really depicts a lot of the different little subtle ways people are bullied. You know, sometimes when we think of the bully in school, we think of it as, you know, a big burly person, you know, usually a boy, and, you know, hitting another boy. And you've really shown some of those not so nice qualities of that trait in young girls. And I like that because people can see it. I mean, hearing the song is part of it, but a lot of people are visual. So that was really well done. Now, I understand you had some help in producing the video, quite a bit of help. And I wondered, did you go out and look for that help, or was this where Dad came into because I know that David, your law firm, am I pronouncing your last name right, Montlick?
Yes, you are.
Okay, Montlick and Associates, from my understanding, was sponsored the production of the video. And I understand this is part of a 28-year commitment to helping kids be safe. So I'm thinking, did you kind of, Dad, get in there and say, hey, let's take this to another level, or was it Jolie, or how did that happen?
Well, I'm glad you asked. When the song was recorded, we were pretty excited about that. But what happened next, we didn't fully expect. I had thought from the start when we planned to record the song that maybe we'd make a music video, but we allowed 12 kids to hear that song after it was recorded, and a number of them we didn't know. They were just people who I did business with, who I had never even met. I just did business through the internet and the phone, and in the course of interacting with them, I decided to share the song so they could share it with their kids to get feedback. And out of that initial 12, we had two amazing stories happen first. One was that the day after the first girl heard it, we didn't know that she had been badly bullied, but the dad called me up and he said that my daughter has been badly bullied for several years, and when we picked her up from school, she was singing the song in the car, and she'd only heard it twice. And and of course that alone was exciting to us, that it stuck with her. And he said to her that's the song. That's my song for Taylor Swift." And she said, "Yes, it is. And you know what else, Dad? I decided I'm not going to be a victim anymore."
Wow.
And so that was really powerful. I heard that first story. That was enough to say we were doing a music video. But what happened right after that was I got another call from a second person. And again, I knew these people through business, but I didn't know their families. I didn't know anything about their kids. And a second person told a very similar story, except in that case they listened to the song twice, and as a family, they listened to it. The daughter also happened to be a daughter, and the parents. And after they listened to it 2 times, the daughter turned to them and said, "You know, I'm not going to be a victim anymore."
Mm.
And we had 4 more people out of the group of 12 who were so kind that these people called us and gave us the feedback. 4 others told us that their kids turned to them after hearing it with them and said, "You know, the next time I see someone being bullied, I'm going to speak up."
Wow.
And that's such a huge issue. It's the innocent bystanders, or I'm sorry, the bystanders. They're not innocent bystanders. 85% of the time, kids stand by and just watch when other kids are being bullied, and that's a real problem because it empowers the bullies to continue. So part of what the Ambassador for Kids Club, the A4K Club, is trying to accomplish, and what Jolie's video is to empower the bystanders. You know, it is cool to be kind, and it's cool to step in and do something.
Right, and I mean it is a societal problem. I've done a couple of shows around the issue, and I'm going to be doing a couple more. I have a guest who haven't set a date yet with her, but she's written a book. She was a policewoman in Edmonton, Canada, and she's written a book on the whole concept of bullying. She was bullied. She later became a bully, and then she learned from that and became empowered. So it does seem to be very cyclical, and we see a lot of adults. This is, Jolie's message is directed at young people, and we're hearing a lot of it in media about we have to say no to bullying. The commercials are about directing to young people. But I wanted to ask you, if you've found that many adults are responding as well, because I see, from my point of view, this is a societal issue, and it's, we just saw it in the political election in your country. You see, and I was involved in politics in Canada, and I felt the same way. There's this attitude of bullying, is there no other word for it, is rampant. So I was wondering if you're getting any feedback from adults who are like those young people who said to you, "I'm not going to be a victim anymore." Are you hearing anything like that from adults?
Go ahead, Joel.
I was going to say, when we were filming the music video, I actually had parents and even kids come up to me and tell me how they're not going to be victims anymore and how much that the video meant to them, and that really just touched my heart so much.
Well, Jolie, do you find that now that you've got the video out there and so many more people are paying attention to this, are you finding that in your school, how are the kids reacting to you with this, with your message? Or is it any different than it was before you made the video?
Well, pretty much we showed the video at my school, and a lot of the little kids at the school really think that it was a really cool thing, like superstar,
You're a rock star.
And the kids in my class just said that was really cool, and they were proud of me. And so,
Are you finding that you're inspiring any of them to also step out of their comfort zone by seeing that, because sometimes when someone in your class is doing something, you realize, hey, I don't have to wait till I'm an adult to have an impact on the world. I can do it now.
Yeah, well, at my school there isn't really bullying, so I am not sure, but I bet that after seeing the video, the people would probably speak up when they see bullying.
That's awesome. That's awesome what you just said, that at your school that's not happening. That is fantastic. I mean, just that by itself, one school that, that's fantastic. And I'm going to guess that there are other schools who don't tolerate it either. And that it's not just, I guess what I'm saying, it's not just tolerate. It's a different atmosphere. And I wanted to ask you, because you did this filming, your dad was helpful in sponsoring it, but tell us about this, because you've done a video before, so what was that like?
Well, it tells the true story of how Taylor Swift really is my favorite artist, and I went to her concert, and I was actually in the center of the front row, which was amazing because I was so close to her, and that really was what inspired me to write a song for her.
Mm-hmm. But when you got into the actual videoing, because you weren't a movie star or a rock star before this, so what was that like to step into actually being videoed?
Well, the music video was a ton of fun, and it was really an amazing experience, and I just think it was probably the best day of my life.
Oh, really? Well, and I understand that you had quite the cast working with you. I mean, this is a very professional video that you've done.
My cast was amazing, and they were super sweet, and I'm so happy that they were there.
Mhm. And there were a lot of extras, a lot of young people that joined you for that video.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, there was. There was a cast of about 150 people.
Wow. That's amazing. Isn't it? That is amazing. And I understand that there were some, other people that contributed, really helped to. Do you want to speak to that, or David, do you want to speak to that? You had some people donate time or locations or different things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had this great group of people. We had altogether, to bring all this to life, we've had almost 200 people involved, and as Jolie said, we had a cast of over 150 kids and adults, mostly kids. And when we first had the idea of filming the music video, we went to the school that Jolie attends, Cape Fear Academy, which has a really nice facility, and I went and spoke to the headmaster about it. And they actually had a policy, no outside video, even if you want to pay, you're not allowed to come in and do filming.
Right.
But when he heard about what we had on the table, and he heard of the song, his reaction was great. He said this really has the potential to help a lot of kids, and even though it's our policy, we're going to make an exception, and the facility's yours to use. And so we were very fortunate, and they had they have a really nice facility, and they had for some of the scenes we shot, one was we reenacted a concert, and they had this great brand new fine arts center. So we were lucky to have that, and the cast itself was a volunteer cast, and
that's awesome. Just the fact that people coming together,
and it was amazing. The community truly came together, and I spent, and I'm sure Jolie will say the same thing. I spent the 2 days we filmed, and we filmed for over 20 hours with 3 cameras, so it was a lot of footage. I mean, it was a major professional production, and I spent those 2 days spending as much time as I could. Of course, we're working really hard, but thanking people. And people were thanking me endlessly for letting them be part of it, and for us doing something, that was so helpful. And I was just, as Jolie said, it just touched my heart. And the people were so wonderful that we worked with. And in addition to that, we had, of course, we hired and had, but people went above and beyond, great director and a great filming crew and casting director, and we had some really just fine people involved who I have to say that everyone really believed in what we were doing. So everyone gave it 1,000% effort.
Well, I think that speaks to the fact that we've had enough. People are tired of seeing children bullied. They're tired of being bullied in the workplace. We've had enough. We're ready for a change in attitude. And I think what the feeling I have with Jolie's enthusiasm and stepping out the way she has, she's showing us that you don't have to be big, because she's certainly not. You don't have to be a man. You don't have to be a hero, a rescuer. You have to just take on that language that you're not a victim. But so I'm guessing here. I'm going to do a little guessing, but when I look at Jolie is a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo and a certified level 2 instructor. That is a big accomplishment. Now, I'm not an expert on martial arts, but please tell me there's something behind this, because I'm thinking, that has got to build confidence.
Well, what you said was true, and I also volunteer to teach classes to several of thousands of kids, and it really does give me a ton of confidence, and it's just really fun to do, and everybody's sweet there, and it really is great.
But can you tell me then, I know, David, you're also involved with Taekwondo, but is it a matter of, I'm going to ask you to educate me a bit on this. Is it about a mental, like a state of mind that Taekwondo builds that confidence so that you walk through the world knowing that you're safe? Or is it the actual skill of, is it an offensive sport or a defensive sport or a being centered kind of sport? How would you explain that part of it?
You've asked a lot of questions, and they're all good ones. I don't know. I'll try to touch on all of them. You asked if it was defensive. Let me just make sure I got everything you asked. You asked if it was defensive. You asked how does it help? Was there another piece? I'm sorry.
I want to know if it's your mental, if it's the state of mind that it's
centered state of mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try to cover all those. First of all, a good martial arts program gives you a lot. The first thing it can do is it can give you confidence. It gives you confidence in a lot of different ways. One is that you have a sense of accomplishment, because there's a good martial arts program has this logical progression of learning, and over time, whether you're a child or you're an adult, and whether you're started 3 years old, and kids do that, or whether you're in your 70s or 80s, and we've worked with people at both extremes as well. There's this tremendous sense of accomplishment from people doing things they didn't think they could do.
Right.
And if I could divert for a second, confidence is really important in being safe in the world, as well as in being safe around bullies. Bullies tend to pick on people who are not confident, people who walk with their heads down, people who don't look them in the eyes, people who are easy targets. Mm-hmm. And in contrast, they tend to not pick up on people who are going to speak up immediately if they do something. For example,
right.
They're using a bully as an example. In fact, to take it outside the context of bullies, there's been studies where they've taken seasoned, really bad criminals, and they've had them look at video and pictures of people, and it could be people in parking lots, and it could be people walking down the street, and they go, who would you attack? And the last time I read a study on this, what it showed was that, and I forget the exact percentage, but it was like 90 or 95%. 95% of the time, these convicted felons picked the exact same people who they would attack and who they wouldn't attack. Mm-hmm. And what was characteristic of these people in every case was they weren't paying attention, their head was down, they didn't look confident. Could be a woman walking through a parking lot, going through her phone or her directory. Having confidence is huge for helping with bullies, and of course, it's huge for keeping you safe, in the world as well. So, one of the great satisfactions we have about teaching martial arts, Jolie and I, and we've been doing it for 5 years, and we've volunteered to teach literally several thousand classes, is transforming people when you give them confidence. Whether it's a kid or whether it's an adult, regardless of the age, when you see the transition in who they are, and it happens pretty fast. Martial arts can be amazing in that regard. And the other thing is that a really good martial arts program also teaches you not just, you asked how it accomplishes it. It teaches you self-defense skills, but a really good program also teaches you life skills. It teaches you honor. and integrity and discipline. And I really think a lot of it comes from the sense of accomplishment as to why the confidence is built. And the other thing is a good martial arts program, especially for a kid, it'll teach you how to deal with different situations.
Mm-hmm.
A good program will discuss, what do you do if you're bullied at school? What do you do if someone comes up to you on the playground and starts pushing you? What do you do? What is the right way to handle that situation?
But David, as well as the fact that you're involved in the TaeKwonDo, and so is Jolie, as a parent, as a dad, do you think that a lot of parents will want their kids to be safe, but they don't have the skills? I mean, I kind of remember back, this was a few years ago when I was growing up, and it was a kind of a standard thing, especially with boys. That's when it was more common with boys. They didn't see it as much with girls. It still happened, but boys would come home from school, and the first thing would be, the dad would be like, well, teach them how to fight, or teach them how to box. There wasn't a lot about confidence as much as it was just teach them how to protect themselves. And it feels like you're talking about something a little bit different, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think the importance of the parent's involvement in the child's life has on this confidence? How do you feel about it? It seems like you're very involved. Is that the reason you're involved? Is that, is it just a natural thing for you, or are you consciously, did you decide, I'm going to be involved in my child's life, and this is part of it?
Again, those are just great questions, and they're all really important. It's a combination of all those things. I'm really involved because I love being with my girls. So I'm very involved in their lives from that standpoint. But I'm also very involved because it was a very conscious decision that of two things. One is the world, unfortunately, is very dangerous. I wanted my girls to be able to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And I wanted them, and I was hoping that they would fall in love with martial arts, and thankfully they did. But also, I think that parents have an ability to parents play a really important role in making kids confident and making kids speak up and raise things. If they're not comfortable talking to you, they have to be comfortable. If they're being bullied, for example, or something bad's happening, you want them to be comfortable talking to someone. So many of these tragedies that we've seen that involve bullying, where a child's taken their own life, you step back from them and you go, no one did anything, it sounds like, or they weren't telling people. Sometimes you look at it and they didn't tell their parents, or their parents didn't know what to do. Parents weren't speaking up. Kids need to be empowered and learn, to use their voices and to have the confidence to speak up. And again, that's the martial arts thing again with a good program. It's that, you need to speak up. You asked if it was self-defense or if it was the offense, and really, we study TaeKwonDo in our trainings with the American TaeKwonDo Association, but it is an art of self-defense. But part of self-defense is also, avoiding situations and using your voice and speaking up if to avoid confrontation. It gives us confidence to know that we can defend ourselves, but you don't want to have to, use the physical skills. And it is a, I forget the word you used. You said it was a centered mind. It is a centering kind of a thing. It gives you, tremendous self-control and discipline, and it gives you this inner strength. And
does it heighten your awareness? Because that's the other thing when you were talking about the people, the woman in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's a distracted person. You're like you say, you've got all these other things, and I would think that part of that martial art training is to be aware of your surroundings, where you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to ask Jolie, what do you feel that it is is it the fact that you can defend yourself, that you are safe in the world? Do you feel that from the work you do?
Yeah, knowing that you could protect yourself is really something amazing. And I always, like you said, with the confidence, I always walk with my head up, and I'm always looking around. And it's just an amazing thing to learn. And
And it doesn't. It seems like this different kind of relationship, the way that you're presenting it here, is that this is where a young person recognizes their own value and ability to, their right to be in the world. Like, they're not looking to mom and dad to protect them from this big bad world, and mom and dad aren't saying, I have to protect my children. I have to, it feels like this is a different kind of mindset that says, okay, when you said, David, that I'm going to want my girls to be safe in the world, but you didn't say, I have to protect my girls. You said you were going to give them the skills so that when you're not around, they know what to do. This feels like a different kind of way of looking at things.
It is. It's empowering them.
Mm-hmm. So that they aren't, and you don't believe they're a victim, and they don't believe they're a victim. It feels like that kind of attitude is what we need to change, for people who are listening, who may be wondering, well, I don't know, my poor little child is small, and they're, I don't know how they can be safe in the world. What you're showing, you're not telling us, you're showing us that it is possible to be safe in the world.
Also, Jolie made a good point. She talked about keeping your head up and holding your head high.
Mm-hmm.
Even if your child is little, they need to hold their head high, and they need to stand confident. When we teach, sometimes we've taught several thousand kids, like, introduction to martial arts and basic self-defense, what we call breakaway techniques, if all else fails, in very short courses. And one of the things that we teach them in the course to do that they always laugh and enjoy is we teach them to stand like Superman, basically. Put their hands on their hips and their chest is out and their head's held high.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way you should walk around, not in a arrogant way, but in a nice, pleasant, confident way. And you should have your eyes up, and you should be aware of what's going on around you. And again, these studies that involve the convicted felons, or we've seen with bullies, if you hold your head down, you're a target. You've got to look confident, and it is a state of mind, and you may not be completely confident, but what I would tell somebody that has a child is a few things. The first is that they, even though it's hard to do it, they have to get their child to act confident. Eventually, if you act that way long enough, you will start to feel confident. And the second thing I would tell them is the child needs to speak up. If they're being bullied, they need to say something, even to the bully. Bullies don't like attention. And one thing they should do if they're being bullied is just start talking loudly. Just say, Johnny, I told you to stop pushing me. Bullies don't like that. All of a sudden, everyone's looking, teacher's looking. Bully doesn't like that at all. So that's another thing I'd say. And then I know we're talking about martial arts, but martial arts isn't necessarily for everyone, and we realize that. I think it's amazing what it gives, and I feel like I've given my girls a gift they'll have their whole life. But there's other things kids can do to build confidence. There's dance, and there's theater, and there's other sports, and I think it's a matter of finding what a child or an adult really loves and then going for it. And you don't have to be the best at it. But
building that confidence in one area translates to the other.
Yes.
I noticed that Jolie also is doing dance. So or that's on your website, Jolie. Is that what kind of dance do you like to do?
I like to do jazz, musical theater, and hip hop. I think those are really fun.
Very, and energizing. That's awesome. Well, and so Jolie, from when you are out in public and you have young people, or when you speak, what kind of tips do you give young people from a young person's point of view? Your dad kind of gave us some suggestions from parents' point of view, but what do you say to people? What kind of tips would you offer people?
Well, if they're being bullied, I would say if it's a safe situation, then you can tell the bully that we don't like what you're doing and that they need to stop. But if it's not a safe situation, then you can tell a teacher, parent, or just any adult that you can trust.
That's very good advice. And for the adult that's being told, what's the best response? Because I do think that we have a generation or several generations of adults who aren't really sure what to do. Like I said, before in my time, it was, we'll teach the child to fight back. That's not really always going to work because, well, for one thing, we kind of know that more fighting is just creates more fighting. So we need to find other ways. So what kind of a response would you like to hear, let's put it that way, from an adult that if as a young person you're being bullied and you came to me as the adult and said, this person is bullying me, how would you like me to respond?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, if I was the adult, Catherine, let's say I was nearby and you were the one in a situation of being bullied and a situation arose where the person was bigger and you felt really threatened. How would you like me, if you came to me and said, something's going on over here, I feel like I'm being bullied, this person's pushing me or whatever, how would you like me to respond to that?
Well, I would really just say the same thing I said if you're being bullied, and definitely don't just do nothing. There's always a safe situation to it. So.
And as adults, we do have a responsibility, and I think this is one of the messages I want to get across to people today is we have to make this stop, and we have to do it not just because it's the right thing to do, but we have to do it because we are the adults. It's time for the adults to be the adults, and no matter what your job is. Now, one of the things that I see a theme when I was reading your website, and I'm going to encourage listeners to check out Jolie's website. All that information will be on the guest page, all her contact information, her Facebook page, and where to get her videos and things like that. But there's a theme that I see, and I just would like both you and your dad, Jolie and David, to kind of maybe help us to understand. You have a real theme of giving to society. Giving, you seem to be, you do your teaching, you do volunteer hours, you're a representative for the A4K, your video, you're doing the net proceeds, if I'm correct, for this song is going to A4K. Where does that generosity to society, where does that come from in your family, I'm going to say? It seems like it's a family theme.
Well, my dad, as you know, has his business, and he loves helping people, and he does, and he really inspires me to help people too. And like you said, I do donate 100% of the net proceeds from my song for Taylor Swift to the A4K Club.
But it feels like to me that's just awesome, and it's a great example to show people that you don't always have to do it. Sometimes you do it because you feel good, and the result is it benefits others. But you are taking it a little step further to I'm doing volunteering to help others, and then it feels like you're getting the positive benefits from doing that. I think it's a great example, and I wondered if was this how you were raised, David, or is this something that
my parents were really giving, and my dad was my role model in that sense, and he was just always regarded by other people and respected and appreciated for how kind he was, and in many ways, sometimes financial and sometimes other ways. And I don't know. I guess that's just who I am.
And your children have picked up on that.
And yes, and Jolie has a quote that she likes to say that I did not give to her. I was really kind of blown away at. One day she came to me and she said, "I heard something today, and I want it to be my quote." I'll let you talk about it, Jolie.
What is that, Jolie?
Well, my uncle actually told me it, but I've never forgot it. It's, if you want to be happy, help someone else. And I'll never forget it. It's really an amazing quote.
And do you think that that's true? That's I can see it in your face, on your videos, on your but do you believe that's true, or is it just a quote?
Well, I believe it's true. I mean, when I was doing my video and people told me how much it meant to them, it really was just incredible, and I really enjoy helping people.
Mm-hmm. So it feels good to you to do it. Like, do you know there's a difference when we're motivated by doing something because it's going to make us look good, or other people, when that's the motivation, it doesn't have the same result as if you do it, as you say, it's because you love helping other people. It has a different impact, because it feels like when I talk to you, when I hear you today, and when I look at your videos, it feels like you're just doing something that absolutely feels good. Are you as happy as you look on those videos?
I am very, and it's like my dad, I have watched him get the satisfaction from helping people, and he's told me stories of how people respond, and it's really just incredible.
Mm-hmm. So your video is the whole the video itself is on Stop Bullying. And I'm just wondering, there are other videos about bullying. There are other people's messages. Do you see your video as being different from, because it feels, it has a different energy to me, but I'd like to know what your impression is. How is it different from other people's bullying videos?
Well, a lot of the other videos can be depressing, or people could be crying, and it's really just not good to watch. In mine, it's a song, which I think is a lot calmer and nice to listen to, and it's happy. It's not depressing at all, and I think that helps a lot. Yeah,
I think it does too, and that was actually, that's what intrigued me when I saw it. I went, wow, this is fun. This is so much fun, and you're really, I guess because you are. I don't want to put this well, I'll just say it. You seem like a regular kind of girl. and that when a message comes from somebody who is authentic, you seem like you're real. And, that's what this show's all about. Let's get real. So I like real people doing real things that are really having an impact, and it feels like that's what's happening. So I would like to know what your dreams are. What's your next big thing for Jolie?
Well, as you might know, I have already written other songs that are on iTunes and Amazon, and I'm going to continue to write songs because for me, it's just super relaxing and calming, and it makes me very happy writing songs.
Mm-hmm. And you also play the guitar and the ukulele, right?
Yes, I do.
So are you going to do some more videos, or are you what's in the future in that way? What are you dreaming of?
Well, I'm definitely dreaming of doing more, and it's super excited. I'm like going crazy.
And this is kind of a big question, but from where you're standing right now and you seeing what can be done, what kind of a message do you have for young people who might be listening to this or going and watching your video? Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to really share with people about the whole concept of bullying, the whole concept of confidence?
Well, I was going to say how kids really need to speak up when they see other kids being bullied, and to not be a silent bystander, and to go for your dreams.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic. I note, David, that you're mentioning that there's some information on tips, because this is what I really think is important. I want people to come away with some tips. They've been dealing with bullying with their kids in school, or they're seeing it in society. If they want to do something, there's some really great information you mentioned on is it a4club.org?
A4kclub.org, which is the Ambassador for Kids Club.
Right.
There's some great information there that will help parents and kids stop, prevent, and report bullying and child abuse. Also, the program is, that's what Jolie and her sister Nikki are the national spokespeople for, and the site itself is set up so that kids can go and join the club for free and become an ambassador for kids. And as part of becoming an ambassador for kids, they actually take a pledge And there's more to it. The main part of the pledge says, I'll be a voice and stand up for other students who are being bullied or discriminated against, that I will report any suspected child abuse or bullying of a student, and I will lead by example in promoting kindness and safety in my school and community. And that's what kids need to do. They need to speak up. They need to feel good about speaking up, realize it's cool to be kind, and I think that Jolie's video, the feedback we've gotten consistently from kids who see it is uplifting, makes them happy, it is empowering, and
it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun, and it makes them realize that it's cool to go over and be a friend to someone who's a victim and who's being bullied, and to speak up.
Well,
the reality
it's really.
Is that, I'm sorry.
It's really, I see when I was watching the video, I remember when I was in school seeing that same behavior and the kids sitting by themselves, everybody leaves, and when you think about the group mentality, when a whole group of kids gets up and leaves, this is my message to these young people that do that kind of behavior. Think about that. You don't have your own mind. Right there, you've given up your mind to the leader, the group mentality, and that's a very sad state. Where's your confidence to stand up for yourself and make your own decision? Do you really feel the need to leave that table, or do you think for yourself? Is what I feel is really important, and that's when I saw those videos. I thought, yeah, it's all one mind. Just making decisions on who we're going to like and who we're not going to like, not giving yourself the opportunity to maybe get to know someone who's just absolutely awesome. Like Jolie points out, it turned out Taylor Swift was one of those awesome people.
Mhm.
Really, how many people at her school, if this is, was her story as well, how many people that went to school with her that behaved like that are now her biggest fans? It is that way, and I just think we need to help young people to have the confidence to break away from that group think and think for themselves.
Mhm. I was going to say that you should always do the right thing regardless of what people think, and how over half of kids will be a victim. So just because you aren't one today doesn't mean you can't be tomorrow.
Yeah. And if you are seeing that in other people, like you say, get involved. Don't be afraid to stand up for someone else, because what is your experience? When you stand up for someone else, does it feel better?
When I do what?
Stand up for someone else. When you see that happening and you stand up for someone else, what's the result for you?
Well, it feels good, I have to say. Standing up for other people does feel good, like I said, helping people, and it does make a difference.
So I think we're winding down this interview and this our little chat, Jolie, today, and David, and I really so much appreciate both of you being with us, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to let people know how they can get your information. I will, like I said, have all this information on the guest page so people can access it quite easily on letsgetrealchattingwithkatherine.com. But is there anything else you'd like to add, either both of you?
Yeah, well, I was going to say you can go to joliemontlick.com to see my music video. And again, I want to thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
And
you are
remember,
truly an inspirational young... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, remember, if you want to be happy, help someone else.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. You really are an inspiration, Jolie, and that's the message I want to get out there to people, to young people, to older people, because sometimes, I think I read it, you pointed out, you're never too young. What was that?
I was going to say, you're never too young to make a difference.
Exactly. And I would just add to that, you're never too old.
Good point.
Their age is not the factor,
Right.
and size is not the factor. And
You're
that's
right.
Yeah.
you know, I'm a small woman too, and I think that it's very cool when we see that those are not the factors that we need to be confident. You can be a confident person in the world and be safe. You have a right to it, and the tools are available. And I think that's your message. The tools are out there. David, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I want to thank you so much for having us as guests on your show, and we really appreciate the way you bring positive and helpful information to people. It's really awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I think that we're going to wrap up the show then, and I just really want to say to all of you for listening, thank you so much. It really is a pleasure for me to bring this kind of information to you, and I hope it's been helpful. We've given you lots of tips. Jolie has been fantastic in sharing on her website, on her Facebook page, and I think David, as a parent, also has shown us the importance of being involved in our children's lives to help to empower them, to give them that confidence to speak their truth, to voice their concerns, their fears, and to show that there are things available. And I think this has just been awesome. I'm going to have all the links on the guest page and the A4K information too, so that you have some resources. So please check out the show page regularly for updates on the show. 2013 has some very interesting shows lined up, and I think you're going to really enjoy some very new guests as well. For information on all my shows, replays, or future guests, please go to my website, letsgetrealchattingwithkatherine.com. Thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to share the links to the show. I really want to thank you. I want to thank the sponsors. So much gratitude. Until next time, take care.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? Thank you to my guests for sharing with us today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link. You can join us for live shows by going to letsgetrealchattingwithkatherine.com and listen to the replays from the show page, preview guests, and explore links to our Facebook fan page, WordPress blog, and more. We are creating an exquisite world. Until next time, take care.